Hi, and welcome to DIY with Jeannie. Um, Today we are going to do a sewing project. If you are first time, welcome. We do a lot of sewing, we do a lot of paper craft activities. Today we are going to be making this little bag, except I'm going to make one little change between this one and the one we're making, and that is this won't be on the top, but I will put a little loop on top so I can add a keychain to it. Now, the keychain is not necessarily for you to hang your keys from, however, you could, and then just carry this as your little bag. But there is a large amount of room in here. It is quite a big bag, and you can make this any size you want to. We're just making this particular size. It is finished. It is 5.5 inches by 5.5 inches. So it's got a little boxed bottom so that you can add more stuff and it can stand up. But this is the project we're making today. I've made very small ones that are keychains that hold pretty much change or just loose money, won't hold a credit card. There you can make a little smaller than this that will hold a credit card, and then this one you could add quite a few things and have your keys attached to it in some way. So this is the one we're going to make, and this is how we're going to make it. Now, the original pattern that I found did not call for batting or for interfacing. I just like it with it. I think it gives it a little sturdier texture to it. It's just a little something extra. And I went ahead and ironed it onto our lining fabric. So this piece is 14.5 by, I would say, 6 7/8. And the same for this, which is the outer facing fabric. And then this piece, which is going to be our little ring, but on this one it was the top, but this time it's going to be a little key ring holder, is 4 3/4 by 1 3/4. And so for this one, we're going to fold it in half, iron down the middle, fold these in, and iron it like so, sew on both sides, and that will give us this piece, and I'll go do it real quick. The other thing that we need is a 7-inch, well actually you need a 6-inch zipper, but I had a 7-inch. And if you use these plastic ones, the size doesn't matter. Use whatever size you happen to have, because once you sew across the zipper, your zipper tag is going to stay. So if you have to cut it down, it's not a big deal. This one was a 7-inch zipper, and I sewed across the top and the bottom, and I have plenty of zipper there. It should be a 6-inch, like I say, and I've got a 7. So we're going to use this piece. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go sew this piece and this piece like so. And I will be right back with it and this little piece. Okay, what we did was I sewed difference between paper cutting and cloth cutting. So I took and sewed this up against that side, this up against that side, and then I folded them back out after I got it sewed on, folded it back out and sewed top stitch along here so that it's nice and flat. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the opposite. We're going to take this one, bring it up, and it is going to go against that. Let's see if we're going to be just a hair. Make sure they're the same length, and they pretty much are. Let me trim that down just a little bit. The side doesn't matter because we're going to fix it when we sew it all together, so we can always trim it in a minute. Let's get this one because I want to see the difference. So it's just a hair. So when I sewed it, I didn't get them exactly even. So what I'm going to do is bring this one up. It's going to go against there. And this one I'm going to bring up and go against the other side of the zipper. So what our biggest issue is to make sure this side is the same for that pink one, and it's the same for our front piece. So once I have that and the zipper sandwiched, I'm going to put a little clip there so I can go across and make sure that the whole thing is sandwiched the same. So see, I want a perfect little sandwich, a perfect little zipper sandwich there. That's it. The zipper has slipped a little on this one, so we'll pull it up. Make sure it's up here. This one. And this last little piece. I'm going to have to use all 4 clips on this because it just doesn't want to today. So put there. And then again on this side. Now I'm going to go and sew down and then flip it and top stitch it, and I will be back to show you the next step after this. Okay, now we have both sides overstitched. Trim a little bit. So I have threads everywhere. And it's easier if you trim as you go. You don't miss a thread that way. I hate getting all the way done and then I don't know where that thread goes. You know, I've got a random thread sticking out of the side and I don't know where it came from. So there's that. Now I want to turn it back inside out like this. Zip it up. And what I'm going to do is try to get it exactly halfway. And the bottom one is the one I have to really worry about. I can always play with the top one. So 12 to 6.5. That should put me, that's not going to help me. Okay. 1 to 6 3/4. So I should be at 3 and, yeah, that's pretty close to it. So let's now make that one the same. Lay it down. And what we're going to do is going to go sew this bottom part straight across. And see the zipper hanging out? We don't care. Just leave it there for now. We'll trim it in a minute. So I'm just going to put a straight stitch right down here. And then we will come back, and that's when the magic will start to happen. So stitching along the bottom, and then we will come back. And there's that little piece that I was telling you, sew it on both sides. It's a nice little tab. Now I can use it for our dangle. So be right back. Okay, here we are. We've got our seam. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim this down here because one, it's a little bulky. But then I'm going to show you how to box the bottom. Boxing the bottom is really easy. It really is. So cut that right off, but we don't have a problem. That zipper is going to be fine. Now, to box the bottom. Let's do a big box. So let me get a pencil. And I'm just going to draw, because we're going to cut this little 1-inch square off. Do the same thing on this side. Okay. Now what we want to do is cut that right off. Yeah. And now what we're going to do is we're going to open this one, stop it. I'm going to open this side, and we're just going to take this side seam and match it up with that cut at the bottom. And sew it. Same thing with this one. Sew it open. And I am not crazy with the way that works out. So let me turn it wrong side out. Wrong side out. So that I'm on the inside. And we'll just do one corner at a time. So yes, you'll be able to see a visible seam, but you're going to anyway with the way we're going to finish it. So we're going to take our little opening there. I'm going to line both sides up and straight stitch across that. So just put that like that. You're just going to make a straight stitch. And they're both going to be exactly the same size because we cut the same size square. Okay, straight line. Make sure that corner and this line match up so that it's even. Put our little clip on. Now I use these rather than pins. I'm clumsy. I'm a klutz, and I have a tendency to stab myself with virtually everything. I have multiple wounds from this thing. I got a new one yesterday, and that means I tend to bleed on things. And so if I use these, I don't bleed on my fabric. And that's kind of my goal here, is to not bleed on the fabric. So there we go. We've got our box pleat in there. I've got the inside straight so that I don't have any crinkles when I start to sew. Come on. Because I don't want any crinkles on my sew. So you see that's now good on the inside, and we're just going to zip sew that real quick. I'll be right back and I'll show you the next step. We have our little tab sewn. I can go in, clean up the thread. I could go in and trim further. I could go in and put a binding around it, but really it doesn't bother me that much, and since this is pretty much for me, I'm not going to worry about it. If I were doing it for someone else, I might do a French seam, which is where I sew it on the outside first, flip it in, sew it again, so that you can't see it. We may do that with the top. So now, which might be a good idea for the top. Now, I'm going to open the little bottom. See now how big our little bag is? It's got a nice base on it. Now what we want to do is the top. Now, you can do exactly the same thing. Make little pleats and put it in. I am just going to make it a triangle bag, like so. But on this one, I put the little triangle in, and that's what I'm going to do again. So let's find our halfway mark, and let's go in about, let's see how big that is. That's almost an inch. So we've got a little inch in. Let me put I leave all my clips back there? Oh, there's one. We're going to leave a little clip. And what we're going to do is, I'm going to do the same thing on this side, put it in 1 inch. On the middle. And we'll sew it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unzip to sew across. And we're going to do a French seam on this so that you see what I mean by that. So I'm going to sew across the top. We'll come back out and trim it. And then I'll show you how to do a French seam. So I will be right back with the top sewn just like this. And you'll be able to see how we're going to put in our loop as well. Okay, I've sewn that little piece right here to the outside. So it is sewn across the top. Now, what we're going to do is trim this top off because I'm going to go back and hide this seam. It'll also make it a lot more secure. Let's take all that off. Over here in our little pile of scraps. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to flip this open. Our little seams on the inside. And see how this one looks really ugly on the outside? It didn't bother me before, but it bothers me now. Now that I've seen this, and I'm like, should have done that. But it's okay. Because at the end of the day, it's not going to matter that much. Now, we want to make sure that, see how that's folded over? We want to make sure it's like that one, and that point is out really good. So I'm just going to wiggle that point, wiggle this point. I'm going to use my scissors to go in and to help me get that out. You just want to be really careful if you're using scissors that you don't stab through the fabric, because that would just be horrible. All this work would be down the drain. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back there and I am going to lay that down really well. I'm going to sew across the top here so that when I open it back up, that other seam is encased in this little flap area. So let me go sew this really quick. Okay, so what you'll see is I sewed across that top seam. Now, remember how that other seam was exposed like this? Pop it back out, you'll see that what I did was, and I've got a thread. See, that's that mystery thread. So now I've got these exposed on the inside, but at the top I don't have anything exposed. And it looks good at the top. So we have our bag. Take it all out. Bottom corner back out. We'll zip it up, and I will show you our finished project. You gotta zhuzh it a little bit to get it to do what you want. And there we go. Isn't that adorable? Now you've got a little bag that you can hook onto something, and we put a little keychain on. It's got a lot of room inside. And now it's ready to just go wherever you need it to go. If you make it longer, it'd be a really nice pencil bag. Longer this way, even shorter, squattier, we may do a pencil bag. Or even longer this way, so that it's narrower but longer. But that's another same process, same idea. Would get that same look to it. And then you've got your nice little squared off base. And it is sturdy and ready to go. So that is the two that I've done. The difference is the handle and the way I did the seams. But one is taller than the other. It's not a big deal. You can do any size you want. If you enjoyed this content, please give me a thumbs up. what would you like to see us make? I know that soon I want to start drafting my own patterns. And so I have a batwing shirt. I have this stunning fabric. Hang on, I'll show you. And I want to make a batwing tunic out of it. It's just beautiful. And I thought, oh, that'll flow so pretty. But isn't that pretty? And it is just satiny soft. So, and I have a lot of it. And this is one of those Goodwill finds. It was just a piece of material, and that's all it is. It's just a piece of cut material. It's already been washed. And someone just didn't get to the project, and so they just donated the material. I was the lucky recipient. So, but that is something that I want to do. I want to do shorts coming up. I have an idea for some really cute shorts, but that is coming up. But we'll have to start working on drafting our own patterns first. So, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe, hit the bell. It really helps my YouTube algorithm if you thumbs up or comment, and I answer every single comment, even if it's not necessarily a wonderful comment in my eyes. But I work for nobody. I work only for me. So anytime that I show you something and I talk about a company, it is simply the company I use. It has nothing to do with anything else. I do not make money from any company. And if I don't like something, I will tell you I don't like it. Like I told you yesterday, I won't buy any more of these. So, but thumbs up. Come back and see us. We should be back on Thursday. I'm trying to get back on schedule to where I'm doing 3 a week. It became difficult when I was ill, and then it just takes forever to get caught up. I left town for a week, and then I had a stomach virus, and it's just, I got behind. I'm trying to catch up. So I may do a surprise video in the middle of the week sometime soon, hopefully. And hopefully I'll see you again Thursday. Have an amazing day.